Have you ever felt trapped in a life full of limitations, as if an invisible force was holding back your true potential? What would it be like if you discovered that you had the strength to break through any barrier that life puts in your path? Today, we will explore together the transformative story of David Goggins and his book, You Can't Hurt Me, an intense and brutal journey towards the extreme limits of human overcoming. If you are looking for inspiration to overcome your own challenges and want to understand how to transform traumas and difficulties into fuel for growth, then you are in the right place. Here at Literary World, our goal is to take you inside the pages of the most impactful books, revealing lessons that can change lives. And to make sure you don't miss any book reviews, subscribe to the channel now. Just one click and you will always be up to date with the best recommendations and analyses. By the way, we left a link in the video description for you to access the book, You Can't Hurt Me. If, like David Goggins, you want to push yourself to the limit, click on the link and embark on this powerful read. Before we get into the life-changing lessons of the book, let's talk a little about David Goggins himself. Born in Buffalo, New York, Goggins grew up in an environment marked by abuse, racism, and extreme poverty. His difficult childhood left deep scars, but he found a way to turn the pain into pure strength. Today, Goggins is one of the few Americans to have completed the United States Navy Special Forces training, in addition to having set records as an ultramarathon runner. His determination and resilience have made him a living legend, and Can't Hurt Me reveals how he achieved this transformation. This book is more than a biography. It is a true manual for those who seek to expand their own limits. David Goggins grew up in a home where abuse and violence were common. From a young age, he had to learn to deal with fear and pain, which left him emotionally scarred. This period is crucial to understanding what led Goggins to become the man he is today. This turbulent childhood forced him to find a way to face pain head-on, a skill he would use to shape his entire life. In addition, the racism and discrimination he experienced on a daily basis further compounded his feelings of isolation. Young Goggins often felt like he had no allies and that the world was a hostile place. This harsh, albeit cruel, scenario was the first step in the development of his resilience. He began to see the world as a battlefield, where he had to fight to survive. By the time he reached his teens, Goggins felt lost and directionless. This phase of his life was marked by a sense of failure, abandonment, and hopelessness. He quit several jobs and, for a time, indulged in bad habits that seemed to pull him even further down. This lost decade is an example of how many of us feel the need for change, but are stuck, not knowing where to start. During this phase, Goggins began to deeply question the meaning of his life and whether he was doomed to a path of failure. He tried to hide in his comfort zone, but soon realized that without the courage to change, he would continue to be stuck in a destructive routine. This was the moment when he began to reflect on the need for transformation, and the journey to rebuild his identity began. One day, while watching television, Goggins saw a program about the Navy SEALs and felt an awakening. He realized that the only way to change his life was to take on an extreme challenge, something that would push him beyond any limits he knew. It was then that he decided to try out for the Special Forces. But to do so, he needed to lose weight and completely transform his lifestyle. The decision to apply for SEAL training was a radical leap into the unknown. It was a distant dream that seemed impossible for someone who was physically and mentally so fragile. But he knew he needed to make the change to break the cycle of self-sabotage. This decision led him to a series of intense and life-changing tests, the first steps toward becoming the most resilient version of himself. To become a SEAL, Goggins had to go through a brutal physical and mental training routine. He faced the famous Hell Week, a week of non-stop challenges that tested his endurance to the extreme. Each stage was a battle against his own mind, and he understood that in order to win, he had to overcome the me that gave up easily. During Hell Week, Goggins began to realize that physical strength was only part of the process. The real battle took place in his mind. He learned that the key to success was to remain calm and focused, even when everything seemed impossible. What seemed like a series of extreme physical exercises was actually a journey to develop his discipline and self-control. One of the central ideas of the book is mental callousing. Just as skin forms calluses to resist friction, Goggins argues that the mind can be seared to resist pain and suffering. This means exposing yourself to challenges repeatedly until your mind becomes resilient and immune to discomfort. This concept has become one of Goggins' most iconic methods for achieving mental strength. Searing the mind requires a constant routine of exposure to discomfort. According to Goggins, the ability to deal with pain and adversity develops through continuous practice. He suggests that by making small choices for self-improvement every day, anyone can develop an unshakable mind. Goggins realized that he could not move forward until he confronted his past traumas. Instead of running away from or denying his suffering, he used his pain as a tool for empowerment. He began to see trauma not as a weakness, but as a source of raw energy. This chapter of his life teaches us how we can transform emotional scars into fuel for success. For him, trauma was a kind of latent superpower. He believed that painful experiences, when properly directed, could provide an immense amount of determination and focus. This ability to convert emotional pain into discipline was essential to his reaching the extreme levels of resilience that define his life. Goggins didn't stop with the SEALs. He launched himself into the world of ultramarathons, competitions that require running more than 100 miles non-stop. Running for hours on end was his way of testing his endurance and exploring the limits of the human body. During these races, Goggins suffered injuries, extreme exhaustion, and dehydration, and still refused to stop. He explains that ultramarathons taught him that the human body is much more resilient than we imagine. In the midst of exhaustion and physical suffering, he developed an extraordinary ability to block out the pain and focus only on the next step. This teaching is a powerful metaphor for life, reminding us that perseverance, even in the most adverse situations, is the path to success. Goggins uses a term called suffering syndrome, which describes the mindset of seeing pain as a weakness. He explains that by reprogramming the way we think about suffering, we can use it as a source of strength. This change in perspective is essential for anyone who wants to have a life of overcoming. By transforming suffering into a driving force, Goggins teaches us that pain is inevitable, but the way we react to it is a choice. He believes that difficulties faced with courage make us stronger and more prepared for future challenges. This mindset can be applied to any area of life, be it personal, professional, or emotional. Another powerful concept he introduces is the mirror of truth, an exercise in which he would look at himself in the mirror and acknowledge his weaknesses without shying away. This practice helped him face his fears and limitations without lies or excuses. He encourages all of us to do the same, to face the truth about who we are so we can evolve. In addition to acknowledging one's own flaws, Goggins believes that this exercise helps cultivate a sense of responsibility for our choices. By looking in the mirror and facing his flaws head-on, he strengthened his motivation to work hard and overcome these limitations. According to him, the painful truth is the first step to true transformation, and this unwavering commitment to reality is what separates ordinary people from truly extraordinary individuals. At the end of the book, Goggins emphasizes that none of this would be possible without consistency. He argues that in order to achieve extraordinary goals, one must be unwaveringly committed to the process. Persistence is what turns dreams into reality, and Goggins is living proof of this. For him, consistency is the secret to true greatness. He notes that many people get excited about a goal, but give up as soon as they encounter the first obstacle. Goggins' determination, on the other hand, was fueled by pain and the commitment to keep going, no matter what came his way. This philosophy invites us to reflect on how small daily acts can build a legacy of overcoming, and how true strength lies in never giving up, even when everything seems impossible. Now, tell me, which of David Goggins' lessons impacted you the most? Is there something in your life that you want to face with the same determination as him? Leave your comment below. Your opinion is essential for our channel, and we want to know how this content inspires you. Thank you very much for staying with us until the end of this video. Don't forget to follow Literary World and activate the bell so you don't miss any reviews or tips for transformative reading. See you in the next video.